In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up our milling machine to run our shims. Before you even do this, you're going to want to make sure that you check in with your instructor that your mill has been trammed and it's also been zeroed out. Now when we get our shims here, how this was cut is there's a bandsaw that went down and you're going to feel a little burr on one of the edges. What I want to do is I want to run my fingers on those edges and feel where that burr is and make sure that those go up. What we do then is we want to make sure that the inside of our vise is nice and clean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up, and inside here you're going to find a parallel where your part is going to fit on, and you want to make sure that everything is nice and clean. So I'm going to take a shop rag and I'm going to wipe all of that off. I'm also going to wipe off the inside of my vise. I want to make sure that there are no chips or anything like that on the inside. I'll set my parallel in there, and to be able to hold my parallel in place, I'm going to use a rubber band that goes around it just like that. I also want to check and make sure that there's no cutting fluid or any chips or anything like that on my part stop right there. So what I do then is I'm going to grab my vise handle and I'm going to close that down a little bit. Now remember, we want to make sure that the burrs on our piece are up. So I'm going to put those up and I'm going to slide my part over to the left until it comes in contact with our part stop. And I'm going to bring that in and I'm going to tighten this down. When we are putting this in, you want to make sure that it is all the way down on that parallel. Now, when your instructor zeroed this out previously, as well as in our cam portion of Fusion 360, we set this top left corner as our origin for our X, Y, and Z axes. So when we have our part stop right here, this is setting the origin in our X-axis. The solid jaw of our vise is going to be setting the origin in our Y-axis. And then what we did is we used a dial indicator or a Hammer to be able to set our Z-axis. After we have our part in, we are going to shut our doors and we're going to close those so that they're locked. And then we come on over to our screen. If our G code for file 4304-4280 is not up, we click on File, and here we can find that one right there. We click Load G code, and then what we do is we hit Cycle Start. And this will start the machine to be able to run our tool path. When we are finished running our part, we're able to open up the doors and we're going to grab the wrench for the vise and loosen that up. We don't want to leave that in there. And we are able to take out our part, and what we want to do is we want to grab our shop rag. We're going to wipe off any of the coolant that may be on there. And just like before, we'll grab another blank. We want to make sure that everything is nice and clean. The best way to have good consistent parts is to make sure that we have nice clean machinery and nice clean vices and everything. So we want to make sure that everything is nice and tidy before we start running our next part.